sisters and brothers. The current rebellions that are sweeping the Middle East, Asia, and Africa have intensified the struggle against imperialism. So it is a struggle that continues to happen in many parts of the world. So for my talk, I will discuss the significance of these anti-imperialist rebellions and what we will do in the upcoming weeks. U.S. Marines have been sent to Libya and Yemen. U.S. drones dominated the airspace of Libya. Until NATO bombers destroyed its government last year, Libya was truly a sovereign country. No one can make that claim now. It will be the Pentagon and CIA who will determine what should be done in Libya in pursuit of whose demonstration at the U.S. consulate in Benghazi led to the death of the U.S. ambassador and 3 other Americans. The Libyan revolution led by Colonel Gaddafi evicted the Pentagon's important Willis Air Force base from the country in 1970. But the Pentagon is back now. Something seemed not to change. The U.S. Marines' first foreign expedition was in 1806 and the battleground was Tripoli. I'm going to read you the official hymn of the U.S. Marine Corps, enriching the history of U.S. expansionism. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea. The U.S. Marine Corps is staying true to the hymn today, as Marines set sail yet again for the coast of Libya as well as Yemen, putting elite special operations units of U.S. troops in 2 new countries in a matter of 2 days. The Marines don't actually fight for our country, as the hymn exalts. This is just patriotic propaganda. It is endlessly repeated, but that doesn't make it true. They are being sent to the Middle East to shore up the position of the empire as rebellion sweeps the region. As Marine General Smedley Butler, who won 2 Congressional Medals of Honor, famously put it when he retired and became an anti-war prominent. I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during the period, I spent most of the time as a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street and the bankers. In short, it was a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism. I helped Mexico and especially Tampico save for American oil interests in 1914. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a descent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenues in. I helped in the raping of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. I helped purify Nicaragua for the international banking house of the Brown Brothers in 1902 through 1912. I brought light to the Dominican Republic for the American sugar interests in 1916. I helped make Honduras right for the American fruit companies in 1903. In China, in 1927, I helped see to it that Standard Oil went out in its way unmolested. Looking back on it, I might have given Al Capone a few hints. The best he could do was to operate his racket in 3 districts. I operated on 3 continents. U.S. troops and aircraft are dispatched again in the Middle East today. For the past half-century, this pattern has been repeated time again. When the Iraqi people carried out true revolutionary overturn in 1958 against a British-backed monarchy in Baghdad, President Eisenhower rushed 10,000 troops to Lebanon and the British sent troops into Kuwait. The troops were to secure the position of the colonial powers against indigenous revolutions from the people of the people in states in Hong Kong. Both were artificially carved colonial-administered port areas taken from the mainland for the benefit of the colonizers at the expense of Iraq and China, respectively. Angry protests targeting U.S. and other Western embassies and business swept across the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia on September 14. The widespread demonstrations follow attacks on the U.S. embassies in recent days in Egypt, Yemen, and Libya, where the U.S. ambassador and 3 other U.S. personnel were killed on September 12. The September 14 protests took place in many countries, including Egypt, Nigeria, Mali, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Malaysia, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, with embassies breached in Libya, Yemen, Tunisia, and Sudan. The trigger for demonstrations was the internet circulation of a deliberately offensive and insulting film produced in California about Mohammad, regarded by Muslims and prophet and founder of Islamic faith. As insulting and inflammatory as the film is, the widespread and militant response It can only be understood by taking into account the historic role of imperialism, which has left a deep reservoir of anger towards the United States, Britain, France, and other colonizers. Among the actions of the United States are the invasion of Iraq, support for brutal military dictatorship and royal monarchies, arming and funding for Israel in its non-stop war against Palestinian people, the overthrow of the democratic government in Iran in 1953, the installing of client police states, notorious ego torture, the genocide in Iraq over 20 years, military occupations, and now skies buzzing with robotic killers who blow up civilians, and then their funerals on a regular basis. This backdrop of colonial violence gives some insight as to why small sparks can create region-wide upsurges against the perpetrators of those crimes. The shock and surprise of the U.S. government at the embassy protests show its imperialist arrogance, believing it can act as a wrecking ball in the region, bombing and occupying the countries without triggering a response from the victims. The people of the United States want this endless war against the people of the Middle East to end. Join us and others in locally coordinate anti-war demonstrations on October 6 in Los Angeles, which will mark the 11th anniversary of the invasion and occupation of Afghanistan. Tell your friends and family to join this important action. As revolutionaries, we must continue to intensify the class struggle and our goal to recruit members of the working class into our party. The PSL will continue to be in the forefront in the struggle against imperialism and for socialism and international solidarity. Join us, sisters and brothers. Thank you.